Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. Please if you're new for our channel, please subscribe, like and comment, and don't forget to turn on notification bell for more updated video. Thank you guys for sending me the link. Thank you guys for supporting my channel. Thank you very much everyone who with me all the time for whatever I'm doing to this channel. Guys, today we got a video from our sister say that I don't want to be Christian anymore. Not me, her, she said. I just quoting what she said. She don't want to be Christian anymore. So thank you very much guys. We want to see why she say like that, what happened to her and what she see and what she go from where she's going. I don't know where she's going and what she wants to do. Thank you very much guys. Let us start.
Salam, I'm Avalon, and today I want to talk about why I converted to Islam and really just my story, my experiences, and yeah, how I ended up here. So I have all my notes on my phone, so if I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at, because there's a lot to remember and I didn't want to leave anything out. So yeah, with that, let's get into it. Okay, so a little background about me. My family is Christian, white Americans, so nothing fancy, not Muslim, not Arab or anything. I get questions about that. No, we're just white Americans. And I grew up in a very, I would say, sheltered and more traditional Christian home. I was homeschooled until the age of 10 through a Christian homeschool group. And yeah, I decided that I wanted to be a Christian, or decided when I was 4 years old. And I was baptized by my dad actually in the ocean when I was 10 years old. So obviously Christianity was just always a part of my life, and it was always a big part of my life growing up. But despite being Christian and being very dedicated to it, I never really had hard feelings towards Muslims. I definitely had, I had stereotypes of them in my head, and which are not true, that I know now. And I definitely had views of them that were not accurate. But I didn't dislike Muslims at all, because honestly, as far back as I can remember, people around me were Muslim. I had friends on the swim team, or just people that I would hang out with that were Muslim. So I always respected them, and yeah, I just didn't have any hard feelings towards them. And even back to the first time I started dating anyone, I dated Muslim men. So obviously, I didn't have anything against them. It was just kind of well, I don't want to be Muslim. So it wasn't until high school when I realized how many similarities there are between Christianity and Islam. And that really made me start thinking about it differently, because like I said, I didn't have anything against the religion or people before, but that just kind of made me see it differently a little bit. The seeds were sown, So that was just maybe the first step towards Islam for me, even though I didn't realize it. And alhamdulillah, I think that Allah put Islam in my heart a very long time ago without really me even knowing it. Because this is just a funny little anecdote, but I actually used to put hijab on in the mirror in my room. I would lock my room, put hijab on with a random scarf in my closet, and just kind of see how it looked. And yeah, and then I would just I thought nothing of it. It's so funny looking back, because I'm a Muslimah now and I'm a hijabi, and it's so weird that I never made that connection that I could be Muslim, or if I wanted to be Muslim, I just never thought anything of it. That was just a thing I did. It's just funny looking back. But yeah, there was definitely a time where I started becoming, there was a transition between, okay, Islam is cool, but it's not for me, to just becoming more and more interested in it. Okay, now we need to fast forward to my last semester of community college when I was 20 years old. So I enrolled in a world religions class last minute. There's a good chance that I wouldn't have even ended up in that class, but I did, and alhamdulillah, it was all for the best. And so it was a world religions class, which means that it went over the biggest 5 world religions. So Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, and Hinduism. And this was a huge moment for me, I would say. And it should be said, before I even get into the class, before I started taking the class, I was already really not feeling Christianity anymore. I was very unhappy with the church I was going to. I really didn't fit in there, even though I really tried my best. I would go to youth groups sometimes, and I volunteered with them. I went on what's it called, a mission trip with them. Like, I really tried to involve myself in the church and get along with people. And there were some really cool people there, but I just knew I didn't fit in there. And I think I could tell it wasn't just because I didn't fit in. It was also because it was about the faith, you know? So at this point, I had already become disillusioned with Christianity, with the church I was going to in general, and honestly, like, religion in general. So I hadn't left the church yet, but I wasn't by any means, like, dedicated to it, really. But it was really when I took this class that I decided, okay, I'm not a Christian anymore, like, and this was a huge transitionary time in my life. And the main things I learned from that class that changed my views were, first, that Christianity isn't that different than a lot of other religions once I saw them all lined up next to each other like that. And so it's kind of like, well, what's holding me to Christianity? Like, just because my parents are, like, that's not a good enough reason. Another thing was that I just wasn't really interested in learning about Christianity. Like, I didn't get thrilled to learn about it the way I felt like maybe I should if it's my religion. I also realized that I just didn't really understand Christianity, or it's not that I didn't understand it, it's that it didn't make sense to me. Especially the aspect of, like, the triune God or the Trinity or three gods in one. That's something that I was kind of told as a kid, like, oh, you'll understand it when you're an adult, when you're older. And this is the first time, like, in that class, I realized, oh, I'm an adult now, and I still don't understand it. It still makes no sense to me. So after this class, my eyes were really opened, and I realized, first of all, I don't want to be a Christian anymore. I don't want to practice any religion. But on the other hand, I did get really excited to learn about Islam in that class. Every time we would learn about Islam, I was like, I just felt really into it, and I felt excited to come to class. But at that time, I wasn't ready to convert or anything like that. I wasn't even thinking about it, honestly. I just knew I don't want to be a Christian anymore. So for the next 2 years of university, I was really teetering between, like, agnostic and atheist, those two identities. And there was times that I was very into atheism and, like, skepticism. I still have books from that time, and I look at it now and I'm like, oh, it's crazy, I've come so far, like, I've changed so much. And then other times I'd be like, oh, I think there is a God, but, like, I just don't really know if there's any religion I really want to practice. And honestly, I was so busy with school because I was at some points working 2 jobs. I was a research assistant, I was taking a lot of classes, I was, you know, spending time with friends. Like, I just didn't even think about religion at that point. I really was just dedicated to finishing school and, yeah, just kind of doing my own thing. But during my last year of college, I started dating a Muslim man, and he absolutely never forced his faith on me or anything like that, which honestly I'm really glad he didn't, because if he did, I probably wouldn't be here today, because I never do anything that I feel forced to do. So I'm glad he was very hands-off about it. And during this time, it's kind of like a separate part of it, but it all plays into the story. I started having kind of like panic attacks on occasion. I'm not sure if that's what you call it, but I just started getting really bad anxiety from time to time. And I remember the first, like, episode or whatever you want to call it that I ever had. I was in bed and looking at the stars at night, and then just all of a sudden I was, like, filled with dread. I was just so overwhelmed about like, just where we were all going and how short life is and how, like, big the universe is. And I don't know, I just felt so overwhelmed. And for the first time in a really long time, I thought, you know, what I'm missing is religion. Like, I feel like that would kind of fill the hole in my heart. So I was kind of at a place where I was like, I'm much more open to religion. I do believe in God, but I'm not going back to Christianity. Okay, and then circling back to the guy I was dating, as we spent more and more time together, I became just more and more interested about Islam, and I would ask about his faith. Why do you do this? Why don't you do this? Just, like, ask him a lot of questions, and he would always answer them. And I started to realize, like, some of the practices that we do as Muslims, like praying 5 times a day, not drinking. And then it would get to the place where, like, I wasn't a Muslim, but I would be asking him, well, why don't you pray 5 times a day? Why don't you do this or that? And then I kind of realized, like, okay, I want to be a Muslim. I believe in this and I want to do this, but I don't really want to be a Muslim like him, if that makes sense. No shade. It's just I realized, like, I really care about this and I wanted to be dedicated to it. So I finally confessed to him that, you know what, I think I want to convert. I'm really interested in it. And he was happy for me, but he was a little skeptical about it. And long story short, he broke things off over text. Again, no shade, it happens, but yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah, and like he had several reasons for this, but one of them was that he kind of felt like if I became Muslim, then I would expect him to like propose or for us to just like become really serious, which definitely wasn't the case. But honestly, alhamdulillah, like I'm so thankful it happened, because so many things wouldn't be the way they are now if that hadn't happened, if we didn't part ways. So I'm very thankful it did happen that way, and I'm thankful that he taught me so much about Islam, because if I had never met him, I wouldn't be here, I wouldn't be Muslim. So I really can't have any hard feelings towards him. But yeah, I also forgot to mention, in January of 2019, I stopped drinking. And so now in January 2020, it's been a full year, alhamdulillah. I've been free of alcohol for a whole year. And I wasn't converting yet in January, like I wasn't ready to yet. But I did it early just to kind of get used to not drinking. So yeah, all of those things play in together. So the relationship ended, I had stopped drinking, and then 2 weeks after the breakup, I ended up saying my Shahada with a couple that I had met from like a local masjid. Like I emailed them, I was like, hey, I want to convert. And we met up at a Starbucks, and they gave me a bunch of books, and I still have them today. And they asked if I wanted to say my Shahada there, and I was like, you know what, I don't think I'm ready. Like I want to think about it a little more. And then they were like, that's totally fine. So we met up on Friday, March the 13th. There's so much about this. First of all, Friday the 13th. Secondly, if you live in the States, you know what March 13th is. That was the first day of quarantine, or like that was the day where everything closed down because of COVID. So interestingly, that was actually the first time in both of their lives that they had ever seen a Jummah prayer canceled, because this was Friday night, so it wasn't like midday. And yeah, so we didn't pray that prayer. We prayed Isha together actually, and then we went to a separate room and I said my Shahada. I definitely messed it up and had to go back, which was perfect for me. Honestly, I love that for me. But yeah, so that's how I ended up saying my Shahada finally. And I felt so scared in that moment. It was such an intense, like it was Friday the 13th, COVID was happening, it was pouring rain too, which again, if you live in SoCal, like you know, it never pours rain. And it was pouring, it was so scary and dark and cold, and I was feeling so many things. I was feeling guilty because of like, what if my parents find out? I was feeling just scared and overwhelmed, but I was also feeling so much like purpose and excitement. Like it was really overwhelming, honestly, and I'm glad we did it in such a closed environment with just the couple and me. But alhamdulillah, it was the best decision I made, even if at that moment I was not sure. Okay, and so from there, I really just started my journey. I started learning to pray, and I participated in Ramadan, and I actually got an English translation of the Quran and started reading that every day. So thankfully, because of quarantine, as weird as it sounds, I had a lot of time on my hands to learn these things, because even if it was just like a month before in school, I would not have had the time to dedicate to that. So thankfully, I really had like several months to just learn more about my faith and yeah, just like get better at praying and figuring all these things out. So it was a very confusing and intense time, because, you know, Ramadan for the first time was very hard, obviously, and my family at this point did not know. Like, I didn't tell them. I think they had their suspicions, but I didn't tell them explicitly. You know, like I would hide my prayer mat so nobody would see it. I'd hide my Quran, like I wouldn't wear hijab around them. I would actually put hijab on once I got in my car, or like I would drive to a parking lot nearby and put it on and then go on my way, just because I felt really uncomfortable with, you know, my or it's really not my family, it's my parents finding out. Even for like weeks after they found out, I still didn't wear hijab around them, just because I felt really uncomfortable, and I felt like I just like don't even want to get my feelings hurt. I don't want them to say anything, like I'm just not going to wear it around them. But now it's definitely come a long way, and I do wear it around them, and we don't talk about religion too much, but yeah, it's still not ideal for sure. But I know that like they still love me, and they don't like, they're not happy that I'm Muslim, but they're not willing to lose me over it, you know what I mean? They're not willing to outcast me from the family because of it. So I'm thankful for that, honestly, because I know a lot of people will convert to Islam or convert to Christianity from Islam, or stop practicing their religion. Like, it could be anything, and their family will just completely disown them, like parents, siblings, everybody. And that is very far from what happened to me, even though in my mind I was like, what will my parents think? Like, will they still love me? You know what I mean? But they definitely do. So again, it's not ideal for sure, but we're making do. You know, we're doing the best we can, and that's really all we can do. And I would be lying if I said that I don't struggle with my identity as a Muslim sometimes, specifically as a Muslim convert, or revert as we call them, because it's really difficult to be like you think that you'll convert to Islam and then you're just like accepted in the communities, and it's not that like Muslim communities are not accepting of reverts. Some might be, but it's not that they all are. It's really just, it's not their fault. It's just like in some Muslim communities there's like certain languages, certain cultures, certain like foods and traditions that you're just not aware of as a white American convert to Islam. And so it's really nobody's fault. It's just kind of like you don't quite fit in with them just because you don't know these things, and you can learn them. But it's like Islam is practiced all across the world. It's popular in so many different countries, in Indonesia, and places in the Middle East, North Africa, in like there's so many places that it's like, oh yeah, like India and Pakistan. Like if you wanted to like I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of hard because it's like, well, if I was like born, for example, like if I was born in Egypt or Indonesia and I was Muslim, I would kind of be a part of that culture already, but I'm not. You know, I'm American, and so I'm not as familiar with the cultures, even though I'm very open to people like different cultures, and I love to learn about them. There's a difference between like loving cultures and wanting to learn about them and then actually being a part of them, you know? And so it's kind of a unique situation to be in where you're almost, especially as a white American convert, it's almost like you're interjecting yourself into these communities, and it feels really inappropriate, like you're kind of jumping in and being like, this is my community now. And it's like, I don't want to be the colonizer of communities, if that makes sense. Like it's really hard to explain, honestly. And like so there's that aspect of it, that you don't really fit in with a lot of Muslim communities. But then on the other side, you don't really fit in with your home community as well, because you're different now. You're a different religion, and you look different if you wear hijab or if you wear a skull cap or anything. So it's a very confusing place to be sometimes, and it can be lonely for sure. But what's important is finding the people that accept you and love you, whether they're people that you knew before you converted or after, whether they're Muslim or not. Like my closest friends are not Muslim, but they just love me and accept me as I am, and me converting didn't change anything about our friendship. Alright, and that is my story. So thank you for watching. I hope you found this informational or inspiring or useful or whatever you're looking for. If you are a Muslim revert yourself, or if you're interested in converting and you have questions or you want to share your experiences, please do. I am an open book. I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to share with you. Yeah, and thank you for watching. Bye.
Thank you. Wow. That's true, guys. That's true. Because of if you are Christian, you convert to Islam, or you are Islam, you convert to Christian, the first problem start inside your family, not from outside, not other people. It start in your family, especially your parent, mom, dad, sibling, brothers, sisters, uncle, auntie, grandma, grandpa. Your family are the one first problem start with them, because of they know that they lose you. They think like they lose you, but you didn't. You're still with them. This is only faith. You came here to worship. They're doing what they're doing for their worship, and you are doing what you are doing for your worship. But in time of family, you're supposed to be same place, same related. It's still family remain the same it was before. But when you convert to Islam, I don't know, I don't understand why when you change your religion, the first problem starts with your family. The things I didn't understand up to now is that one. The people from outside, maybe friend, that the one become closer to you, but your family, they just They don't be with you. I don't understand why your family that just run into you. And to change religion, it's not something bad. Because one time when you're grown up, you're over age, you're 18. You see, one time if you're 18, you're adult. You can do whatever you feel like to do. You are not depend with them. You see, you don't depend with anyone. So you can do whatever you feel like to do. If you change your religion, it's your opinion, it's your idea, it's your choice. So I don't understand why this thing happened with the families. Thank you very much, guys. If you are new for our channel, please subscribe, like and comment, and don't forget to turn on your notification bell for more updated video. See you next time. Bye bye.